I transmigrated as the mad
longed for
fool,
this moment,
but now I
and
build
I,
the cold
for
Regent's
you.
heart.
Chapter 6. The next 72 hours passed in a state of hyper-focused obsession, the purest joy Elias had known since his transmigration. The Imperial Workshop's main forge and machinery depot was a hive of activity, but I had commandeered a corner, creating a cordon of silence by simply refusing to acknowledge any existence outside the demands of the bronze and steel before me. My focus was absolute, the kinetic reciprocity orthosis. I secured the necessary materials: matte bronze for its structural damping properties, high carbon steel for the spring mechanism, and a small precious amount of diamond dust, which I mixed with oil to create a superior self-lubricating paste for the joints. The process of shaping the metal was a direct contrast to the delicate work of watchmaking, yet the principles were identical. I was not building armor, I was building a massive wearable clock mechanism. The most critical component was the tension coil. It had to harvest the necessary kinetic energy without being so rigid that it strains the prince's existing musculature. I spent an entire night hammering and cold folding the high-carbon steel until the tension was perfect. The metal glowed faintly in the brazier light, but I kept my own energy cool and precise. I tested the spring's release dozens of times against a weighted rig, measuring the output with a handheld gauge. Perfect. Zero thermal drift. While the prince did not visit the workshop, his presence was a heavy, silent pressure. General Wei, however, became an unexpected fixture. He would stand 20 feet away, ostensibly guarding the Imperial Workshop, but in truth he was watching me work. "Why the small gears?" Wei asked one afternoon, finally breaking his silence as I meticulously filed down the teeth of a brass gear the size of my thumbnail. "This is the escapement regulator," I explained without looking up. "It governs the speed at which the stored energy is released. If the teeth are irregular by even 1 micron, the timing will be erratic. The prince's limp will be worse. I do not do erratic." We watched the tiny particles of brass dust shower onto the workbench. "You treat the metal like it is alive. It is a machine, General. It must be treated with respect for its limits. Its life is in its function. Unlike the men who built His Highness's first brace, I listened to the metal." Finally, the 72 hours were up. I had created the prototype. It was a complex array of overlapping bronze plates and visible springs, utilitarian and beautiful only in its efficiency. I was summoned back to the Prince Jing's study. The setting was the same, but the atmosphere was charged. The prince's old heavy brace was discarded. He was waiting, his leg bare, the old surgical scars visible. I knelt without comment. "This is the fitting," I announced, adopting the tone of a master tailor before a difficult client. "The goal is 0-point load and complete freedom of rotation. I will be adjusting the internal tension based on your musculature." I began the fitting process. It required an invasion of his personal space, cold metal touching warm skin. I didn't see the man. I saw the injured knee joint, the strained ankle, and the kinetic misalignment. I meticulously fitted the lower cuff, securing it with an adjustable ratchet system. My fingers brushed his skin repeatedly as I calibrated the internal springs. The brace felt cold against the prince's body, a machine interfacing with flesh. "Hold still, Your Highness," I instructed, my focus on the small brass locking mechanism. "I am," the prince replied, his voice a low rumble. "You are not like the physicians. They look at the injury with pity. You look at it with fascination." "Pity is inefficient," I said, finally looking up. My face was close to his. "I am fascinated because it is a mechanical challenge. You have a chronic injury, but it is not beyond the laws of physics. It can be overcome." I secured the last buckle near his hip. "It is done, Your Highness. Stand and walk." The prince pushed himself up. He was hesitant, his hand reaching for the table, expecting the familiar grind and pain. But when he placed his weight on the brace, there was no resistance. Instead, the kinetic spring compressed with a satisfying, quiet sound. Hush, click, and then smoothly released, providing a forward momentum to the step. The bronze plates moved with him, the many pieces working as one unit. He took a slow, deliberate step. His foot landed flat, his knee tracking properly. He took another step, then a third. The limp did not vanish, but it was drastically smoothed out. The prince walked the length of the study, his pace even, his control returned. The 0.4-second imbalance I had measured was gone. He stopped, turning slowly. He did not look at me. He looked down at the orthosis, a weapon of efficiency strapped to his body. "It is light and silent," he murmured. It is a machine that runs on your energy," I said, watching him, my arms crossed. "It is honest, and for the first time in years, Your Highness, you are walking efficiently." The prince slowly walked back to the table, his steps now purposeful. He extended his hand, not offering it, but resting it, palm up on the wood. "You have kept your word, Lin Xu," he said, his obsidian gaze finally connecting with mine. "You built a clock that kept my time." He took a small folded piece of silver from his sleeve and placed it on the table. "Payment." "I do not work for silver, Your Highness," I replied, ignoring the coin. "I work for the challenge, and I have found a larger challenge in the Imperial Artificer competition. I will win. I will not stop until I am the head of the Ministry of Works." The prince's mouth twitched, the closest thing to a smile I had yet seen. "A competent ambition," he conceded. "Very well. General Wei will arrange the transfer of the final materials. But you are mine, Lin Xu. Your hands and your mind belong to the state now."
"You are mine, Lin Xu. We will see about that."
I picked up my calipers and tape. "They belong to the pursuit of mechanical perfection, Your Highness. If the state is efficient, then they are yours." I left the study, the prince standing perfectly straight behind me, the new orthosis ticking softly with the rhythm of a steady, unwavering heart. I knew that he wasn't just wearing my invention. He was now bound to the mechanic who had built it.